Hello, everybody. It is Friday, February the 6th, 2026, and it's time for a brand new episode of AMA Air. Coming up today, we've got an exclusive interview with the brand new AMA president, Greg Stone.
We'll also share Club of the Month and the cover photo contest for the IFlyAMA group.
All that and so much more coming up today on AMA Air. Hello, everybody. Welcome to a brand new episode of AMA Air. My name is Matt Ruddick.
And my name is Lee Ray. Hello, everyone.
Lee, it's so good to see you. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I can finally say I flew this year. It's been a while.
Nice. What did you fly?
I flew this, new for me, it's been around, but it's called a Tough Jet. It's a little Coroplast foamy EDF, and I had a blast flying that at my club, and hopefully it'll inspire more people to grab one. They're kind of cute.
Nice. We are just barely above zero here in the great state of Indiana, so flying is not yet on the agenda, but hopefully soon. Hopefully it'll start warming up.
A lot of frostfinger flyers out there who are flying out there in the snow. So
this is true. It does stop me.
Okay. We'll have to call JC and have him go out there and y'all have snow out there? Is there snow in the field?
Oh yeah, we got in the neighborhood of 10 inches of snow last week.
Wow.
So yeah, it's quite a bit of snow, quite a bit colder than I would prefer it to be, but it'll warm up soon.
Fit those airplanes with snow skis. Get going.
There you go. Well, guys, we have a whole lot to get to you today, and the biggest thing on the agenda is to bring you our interview with Greg Stone. He's the brand new AMA president, was just elected and took office on January the 1st. We got to sit down with Greg earlier this week to talk a little bit about his past and what his views are for the AMA moving forward through his term, and we're going to bring that to you right now. Well, I'm very excited to have joining us today our newly elected AMA president, Mr. Greg Stone. Greg, thank you so much for joining us today on the show.
Thank you for having me. Glad to be here.
Well, Greg, we wanted to have you on to kind of introduce you to some of the members that may be watching that maybe they don't know a lot about you. Maybe they haven't had a chance to meet you in person yet. Let's start off with your history and how you got started in the hobby. I know you've been involved in model aviation for many, many years at this point. I'll let you maybe say how many years that is. But what got you started in the hobby?
I'd have to say I'm probably in the hobby going on about 60 years. And it started with my dad. It started with, his activities, and, he was into control line when I was a kid. And so that, kind of got me in that role. Got into building, planes and flying, with him. And then, that continued after that. And then that just evolved from there, the various aspects of, the early stages of kind of RC and the different, components there, whether it was the old Reed stuff, some of the pulse stuff, and then on into the proportional, dabbled and, grew with that, some with him. And then, I did my own stuff after that. Through school, there was some shifts and things, when things changed. I got into, model rocketry through junior high. I did a lot of that. Some of the things kind of went away for periods of time, and then get into college, kind of shifted to, gliders and slope soaring, what you can actually have on a campus. You can't always have engines, you can't have fuel in dorms. And so, what can you have? And so get into that. And, that would be breaks, between classes to do, head out to the hills and fly. And then stuff, also got, life progresses, got married, a lot of the stuff gets put away for a period of time as kids are young. And then, as kids grow, my son, found my stuff and, tucked away in the garage, dug some of that stuff back out. And, of course, we had to refresh because some of the stuff after sitting for, 10 years or so, even technology had changed, got back into, RC, gliders, did some of the cars, a little bit of everything. And then it's really kind of continued, immensely from them. It's, an addiction now.
Yeah, absolutely. So when you look back at, having experience in so many different disciplines in the hobby, is there one that really, still feels like kind of home to you at this point?
Actually, a lot of them do. I still have a couple of my, early control line planes. I still have 2 very large crates of a lot of my original rockets, and some were used. I built almost all the Estes ones over the years, but sure. I still have from, when was that? In the 60s, in junior high, I actually built an 8-foot rocket, wow. 8 feet long, that was actually used as a demonstration at Angel Stadium in the parking lot there for the fire authority. So we had a demonstration of model rockets for them. I still have that as one of them that's tucked away in those crates. But yeah, I've still got control line. Haven't flown much of that. Have a couple new ones that have been acquired, and so put those in the air before long. Other than that, it's more of the more recent RC stuff, whether it's 3D, whether it's warbirds. Got a mix of a little bit of everything.
Very cool.
Have you dabbled into turbines?
Not yet. I have flown them, but have not gone and, done that or gotten the waiver. If I do that, as my son kind of refers to it, we're going all in, and it's going to be something scale. So, he helps drive some of these things. He's into the big stuff. So,
Lee, I'm sure you know a little bit of how that's like, don't you?
I tell you, Greg, this is the first time, the longest conversation you and I have, and I just hear my story coming out of your mouth, and that's exactly like mine. And I think my kid's a little bit more crazier than your son, though, because I will tell you, my son went from, with your story about the bigger stuff, my son went back to old school. He dug up an old slow stick, new in box. From Graves RC, and he is loving it because he's flying it stock. But as a father of a son who loves this hobby a lot, I fully understand where you are, and that sounds great, because that's how most of us got started. My dad also was flying control line in college, and that's kind of how I got into it.
Yeah, and I went through all the, it was mostly the, Fox 35 stuff, but I had, I also had all of the different Cox ones. So all of those, over the years. So yeah,
I'm gonna touch on your rocketry, because some people will talk about it. They don't always tie it to model aviation, but I'd like to point out that at NASA, when they had their field there, just down the street was the rocketry group. And so the model aviation and then the rocket guys would fly together. And one of my fondest memories is when my brother and I were in the NAR, and we flew a competition at NASA right next to the Saturn V. Shooting our rockets, and that was a blast. So, and you mentioned having crates of rockets. I have crates of rockets in my bin, and that's what I used to do with our Boy Scouts. So if you guys haven't dabbled in rocketry, it's still alive and well, and I hope you get into that.
Oh, it really is. And, there's lots of groups out there. We've got a group that, flies almost monthly out in the desert area, Lucerne Valley, with the high power rocketry and that. But yeah, it's a great activity, and we still see it with the scout groups and that. So
yeah, dabble in Rayto.
So, Greg, I know a few years ago you became the district vice president for District 10. What led you to want to get involved in leadership?
I think a lot of it kind of drove out of my involvement with multiple clubs and just the need that was there to find other resources and tools, activities, what can be done to, grow the club, secure the club, as many fields, are, hard pressed to keep it these days. But just that involvement, that camaraderie in helping clubs, promote their events, be more widely seen across the district and across the country. And so just dove in and, got involved with, I'm still heavily involved with, my local clubs here. But really kind of, branching out to the other clubs, finding out what's working, sharing information and resources, how to connect with civic leaders, how to do training programs, how to do open house events, and then really just supporting, all the different clubs across the district, showing up and supporting their events and, helping, draw people together to these various events, across the district.
What are some events that AMA members can find you at over there?
Yeah, pretty much been to most of them. The Arizona Electric Festival is a big one. We've got, a bunch of large events up in Northern California. There's a couple big jet events, central up at Reedley and then up at Amos. We've got scale events, some of those in Arizona. We just had one here in California, the Coachella Field. There's another, scale event, up north, pylon racing events. Another one of those going on in Arizona this weekend. And then, up in Sacramento, Sam's Field, float flies. That was something I hadn't ever done, is flying off water. So that was an experience learning, the nuances of that. So really just kind of, getting into a little bit of everything. Some of the helicopter events, not something that I'm capable of doing or safely can do. But
Same.
You mentioned when you were younger that you did some slope soaring, and one event I've always wanted to go to or location is Torrey Pines. Have you visited there? Is it something you've participated?
I have. I didn't actually participate in an event there. I did go down for a Hall of Fame presentation, but I had been there, a couple times over the years, and it was something that, I enjoyed watching. I'd been down there when I was in high school, didn't actually fly there. So when I was there, most recently for that activity, I actually got to fly. My first time actually flying at Torrey Pines, and that was just amazing to be able to do that. It's such an incredible sight. You're right there on the coast overlooking the ocean. It is a little bit, I'll say, I don't know the right word for it, a little bit unnerving, to the new pilot, because it's great to fly the glider, and comfortable with that, but there are parasailers flying back and forth, full size. Yeah. So you got to kind of keep, the periphery vision, open and, know what's going on so that you're not, getting near anything.
Yeah, and you have to land. So it's always fun when you're flying on the hook, but then you got to spot land. Well, that is on my bucket list. So when I make the trek out there, I will be calling you, and then you and I can hang out together and experience that.
That would be
Being
great.
That I'm from Texas in the flatland at 90 feet above sea level, there ain't no cliffs, but it's something I've always enjoyed thermal flying. So that's definitely a bucket list item for me.
That would be great. Yeah, it's neat. I enjoy it.
Now, Greg, I also know, you served on the education committee for a number of years, really helping shape programs like UAS for STEM. Talk a little bit about the education aspect of this hobby and why you feel that it's so important to the future.
Yeah, I think it's really critically important to the future, and from a variety of angles. Certainly, the programs we have underway, and then anything we can do to grow and expand those. But youth is a huge, should be a huge growth area for us. It should also be a process that can evolve and support youth through a journey. And I see a lot of this leading to not just interest in flying and aviation and all of that, and it can be a lifelong hobby, but also for the youth, it can, lead them into career paths, whether it's pilots, whether it's mechanics, whether it's aerospace, all the different facets of engineering. And so I want to see us do more and grow more in that area. But, I got heavily involved in that, long before, getting into, District 10, and now this role. I've been involved, and I think it's probably 18 years now, in Science Olympiad. So getting involved in that program and supporting that, through originally high school, but now it's, including, middle school and high school. And, over the years, got into actually running, the regional events. So still do that on an annual basis, supporting it locally and, running the flight events for middle school and high school. And here in Southern California, but also, seeing the other, educational activities beyond that, because you've got different age ranges. You've got middle school and what activities and things they can do there. Get into high school, we've got the UAS for STEM, certainly a huge focus there. And there's, more that I think that can be done there, more nationally. But then also, as you get into the college level, involved in things like, AIAA's Design Build Fly program, SAE's Aero Heavy Lift. Again, just like Science Olympiad, I got involved in those programs over the years, mostly through my son as he went through college and, supporting their team and then supporting more. And then actually attending those competitions and seeing, you get 2,000 college students at a field for 3 days for a competition, and what have they built for the mission? How have they achieved that? Now I actually help with tech inspection for those events, and so I see the growth path, and how they're learning from those processes, getting internships, going into careers, different areas of aerospace, pilots, all of that. And so I see that as a huge area we need to, be more tightly involved in and be nurturing and expanding, kind of working with the youth through all ages, on up into these, these programs and career paths.
Yeah, I'm glad you touched on that because I have attended an SAE Air Design at the Thunderbird Field in Dallas because they split that up between Texas and Florida. So I have seen those youth. And by the way, I've seen those volunteers. So you mentioned that you have helped out, and I'm reaching out to all of our AMA members right now that you should go look at any event that's taking place for Design Build Fly or SAE Air Design and see what you can do to offer your assistance, because it doesn't need to be just club members for that club. It can be anyone to participate. And that's how you help the youth, you inspire them.
Yeah, and that was, I've been to Thunderbird Field. I went to one of those to help at that event. And, at that event actually drove and, carried the team's plane as well as another team's plane. So, it's fun. I support mostly the, California and Arizona events, because they go back and forth, California, Texas, and that. So,
and Florida.
Don't forget Florida. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Florida. I haven't been to the Florida one.
Well, and I'm hoping to attend this year to the one back into for Texas. So I'll stay tuned for that. But yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that because, again, everybody should take a look at it. It's a lot of fun. And that really does drive the older youth into a career.
It does. And the one, one of the things that I want to, be working on, better is, these colleges are all over the country. And some of them need assistance in getting connected with clubs to provide, the flying site for their test flights. Some of them could also use, volunteers to help with, some of the review of the aircraft and recommendations, things like that. We can't do the work for them, but, we can assist if, something looks off, make recommendations on, structural changes, flight changes, any of that. And so I want to work on, getting, clubs connected with these teams, to help that, because I've been to a couple of the competitions and found teams that, actually hadn't flown, because they didn't know where they could fly, or tried to fly on campus and there wasn't enough room. It's like, no, we need to connect them with clubs and sites. They're nearby. So we just need to help them make those connections.
Well, that you mentioned, that's a really great, one really great way for clubs to, engage with youth hobbyists. I'm curious from your perspective, what other ways can clubs get involved with the youth? And maybe they're not sure where to start. Maybe, they don't know what they should do, what they shouldn't do. What kind of encouragement or advice do you have for those types of clubs that want to get involved with youth and want to help build the youth side of our hobby, but just don't know where to start?
Some of it is, finding out where the youth are and what they're doing in extracurricular activities. If they're in an area that, supports and does Science Olympiad, offer the help to go into the schools and help with, coaching. We've got an incredible free flight society across the country that's doing a lot of that, helping and getting into the schools and supporting, the teams with, recommendations and testing and all of that. So that's certainly one area. Others can be, what types of STEM programs can we help with? Sometimes it's difficult to get into schools and support that, but what can be done outside the schools? Are there clubs that need help? Is there, scouting groups, Boys and Girl Scout groups that, might have an interest in aviation, or, I haven't dealt with it in a couple of years, but there was an aviation merit badge. So helping with that, they build something and they, learn to fly something. I understand there's also, programs, both rocketry and aviation, within the 4-H community. So how can we connect those groups better with the clubs to do that sort of thing? And then some of it, can also drive from just community open houses and, flying at the field and, have a community barbecue and get families out there, get some planes out there with buddy box and give people the experience and just helping with that.
Well, obviously, you've now stepped into another role here at the AMA in leadership. You've been elected president of the AMA. First of all, I don't think I said this at the top of the interview, but congratulations on that. I'm curious from your perspective, what do you see as kind of your biggest goals as AMA president as we go into your term?
I say thank you for that. But I think two main focus areas for me. One, certainly on the education side. What can we do to expand and support that? I've been doing a lot locally, with District 10. Now let's see what we can do nationally at scale. Again, supporting these teams, getting involved with AIAA, getting better connected with SAE, getting better connected with industry from my perspective. What can we tie in with, all those different aerospace, companies to become a source for these students to nurture up and work through and into, internships and careers. So a lot, focus around the education side. The other aspect is just going to be, supporting our clubs and membership. working on membership retention and growth. We've got to, sustain the hobby. Many of us have been in this for life. And so, what can we do to, excite the youth? So we need to do more in that area to, kind of interest them and excite them in what can be done, and get them kind of hooked on this, but really kind of focus on that kind of membership growth, retention. What do clubs need? We've got a club toolkit, helping them understand what's available, how to use different, tools and processes, to strengthen the clubs and the communities, in conjunction with, the whole education side.
Yeah. So I guess the other thing I wanted to ask you was for as you begin this term, what is there one thing that you want the AMA community, the AMA members to know or to keep in mind as we move forward through these next few years?
I say focus everywhere you can on, the education pieces, but also support each other and communication. We're kind of building up the leader member community. I want to see more collaboration, across the community. I don't know everything. I need help. I need, good resources around me. So looking to all of those members nationwide, clubs nationwide, what do you have that's working well? Share it. Let's see if we can encapsulate that and, share that across the country. Not every club and area is the same. So there'll be different things that, work well, in certain areas. But we need to, gather that information and make that accessible across the country because, we've got to do everything we can to protect the hobby, grow the hobby, support, new members, whether they're young or old. We get somebody who, recently retired, and has, free time and disposable income and, gets hooked on the hobby. We'll start them anywhere. But, we need to all kind of come together to, support that kind of growth trajectory.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Greg, again, congratulations on becoming our latest AMA president. And we really look forward to seeing all the great work that you're going to do. I know I'm very excited to see it, and I'm sure Lee is as well. I know I've already heard some rumblings about some of the projects that might be coming down the line under your under your leadership. So we're looking forward to it, and I think the AMA is going to be in good hands for the next few years.
Yeah, and I have to say, some of that, starts at the local level. We dug in, at my local field already with, we actually have 3 of the collegiate teams practicing, at the OCMA field. So we've got UC Irvine actually has 2 teams, so they're practicing, and then Cal State Fullerton has jumped in, and as what's really refreshing when they, there'll be 10 to 20 students that'll come out to with their aircraft to fly and do a practice flight. But to see the members huddle around that and, what is this? How did they do that? This is such a unique plane, and just, wanting to understand all of that. It's great to see all of that come together. So, yeah, we gotta instill that across the country.
Absolutely. I'm sure you're going to be at some big events this year. Do you have any events that are already planned that you're going to be at that folks might be able to find you at?
Nothing yet, but once, I start getting that figured out, we'll get that kind of published out there. I mean, I'm still, partly keyed in on trying to get to some of the SAE and AIAA events. And then certainly now that, I'm, covering more of the country, we've got a lot of big events, across the country. So there's different ones I need to, get on the calendar and, kind of get scheduled.
Well, I enjoyed chatting with you last year at AirVenture. Do you think you'll get to come this year?
I'm going to try. I think we need to be there. I think we need to have, a good presence. We've got great, activities that happen there with some of the local clubs supporting that.
Right.
There's a great hands-on control line activity for the kids. I mean, yeah. And,
Well, and RC flying in the evening with blimps flying over and F-18s flying over and Wildcats flying over. Yeah, I mean, you can't miss that. And hopefully if you come and before, we all head out to AirVenture, we'll announce it. I'd love to see you there. And I'd love people to come out and not only fly, but come to meet the new AIAMA president.
Absolutely. I think it'd be great.
Very cool.
Looking forward to it.
Well, Greg, thank you so much for being a part of the show today. We really enjoyed having you here to talk a little bit about you and introducing you to some of the viewers out there.
Glad to, and thanks for the opportunity.
Absolutely.
It sure was nice of you all to come and visit us.
I think it's getting late. We must be wanting to get on the road again.
What about our canasta rematch?
Or maybe we can watch my old rock band's first and last show ever.
No, we don't want to keep you. Besides, who has a VCR anymore?
Remember, we can come back whenever you want another family fun explosion.
Good to know.
Bye now.
That was nice. I hope we didn't wear them out.
Better luck next time.
Better luck next time.
Do you think they miss us? Maybe I should turn around.
I think they're good, Dad.
Well, of course, every month we have a brand new Club of the Month that we like to talk about, and this month is no different. We've got a brand new Club of the Month. Lee, tell us who they are.
For February 2026, the Club of the Month is the North Georgia Model Aviators in Dawsonville, Georgia. The club was established in 2017, and what began as a very small field in a very wooded area, the club eventually was able to clear all the trees out, open this field very large, and then create a very lovely flying site that hosts over 150 members. Now, currently, the weather's a little cold and snowy, so not sure if they're flying. Maybe they're putting some skis on. We'll have to keep up on their Facebook page to see what they share. But when the weather is nice, you can see through their website and their Facebook page that they have a lot of flying going on there. Even this little Frankenplane event they put on for some kids in December where they get to build their own fun-looking planes. Some made it, some didn't. But again, they are very active with the youth, and you can tell, again, by their Facebook page, which is extremely active, that they love to work with the community. Now, something coming up in the fall is an event they host every year. It's a Superfest fly-in. It's at the end of September, beginning October. They haven't shared it yet, but follow their Facebook page or their website. Website is ngmarc.org to find out when the event is posted. And if you're in the area, I highly recommend that you add that to your flying list. So again, congratulations to the North Georgia Model Aviators for being this month's Club of the Month.
And of course, we can't forget about our cover photo contest for this month. If you're not aware of what our cover photo contest is, it's for our Facebook group, the IFlyAMA Facebook group. All you got to do is head over to facebook.com/groups/IFlyAMA, and you can take part in our cover photo contest as well as all of the awesome conversations that we have there. Lee, who do we have for our cover photo contest winner this month?
Our buddy John C. Smith submitted this photo to the IFlyAMA Facebook group contest post, and you can again find it there in the group at the very top under featured. And John sent me the text that this is the Boomerang Sprint in the yellow and black scheme, powered by a King Tech 102 with a Spectrum 14 channel power safe receiver. And he thinks our buddy Mean Joe took this photo. So
very cool
partnership there in crime. And anyway, congratulations, John. It's a really pretty photo, and glad you got to share that with all your fellow friends in the IFlyAMA group.
Absolutely. And of course, if you guys want to take part in that cover photo contest next month, you can certainly do that by heading over to facebook.com/groups/IFlyAMA. You're going to answer a couple of questions so that Lee make sure that you're not a robot, and then you come on in and submit your photo to be considered for the cover photo for next month.
The 1936 National Championship Model Airplane Meet gets underway with all the thrills of real flying. 300 model airplane builders from all parts of the United States, with models of just about every type of plane built anywhere in the world.
Well, registration for the 2026 National Air Modeling Championships, which is the 100th running, by the way, of the NATS, is now open. You guys can register right now by heading over to modelaircraft.org/NATS. You can register early and take advantage of some early bird discounts, so that's really cool. That's something that we haven't done before. And, of course, we've got something brand new this year to help try to build the community up a little bit and build the excitement. We've created a NATS Facebook page. You can find that by going to facebook.com/groups/AMA NATS. Lee, do you have anything you wanted to mention about the NATS Facebook page?
No, it's just great to see a lot of people submitting photos from previous year entries just to bring up some nostalgia. We really appreciate that and would love to see some more posts. So please come join the page and have fun sharing your stories, and looking forward to seeing you guys out here.
There have been some really cool posts in that group, or just over the past few weeks that it's even been launched. Some really cool photos that I did not know existed. We tend to see a lot of the same kind of stuff. We've got, a small group of vintage photos that we have that we kind of pull from, but seeing some of the really cool stuff that the members have and have been posting and sharing those memories, man, that's been some really cool stuff.
Yeah, I think the free flight guys and the control line guys are really taking over the page right now. So go check that out.
And of course, one of the other things that is now open, our camping portal, our IAC camping portal is now open. Of course, we had some issues that were being taken care of, but that is now out of the way, and you can go and register for your camping spot by going to modelaircraft.org/camping.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you really want to experience it, even if you're just to come and watch the show, go rent an RV. There are tons of rental RV sites out there, and pick a campsite out at IAC and just have fun.
Indeed. Well, the AMA Foundation has launched a brand new series called the Flightline Founders. They're diving into the history of aviation with this new series. The people, the ideas, and the moments that turned a simple curiosity into this hobby that we all love. This new series just launched last week, and the series will spotlight influential individuals who helped create and evolve model aviation. The first episode that launched focuses on the Wright brothers, and you're not going to want to miss this, guys. It's a lot of fun to watch. You can follow the AMA Foundation on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and their website to catch each new episode and celebrate the roots of our hobby. Again, that's the Flightline Founders series, so be sure to go check that out. And we have also got dates selected for the 2026 National Model Aviation Day. As we all love to celebrate, we have the August 22nd date scheduled, penciled in, actually pinned in, I guess, at this point, for National Model Aviation Day. So make sure to mark your calendars so you can celebrate with the rest of us. And it's going to be a lot of fun. Lee, I know you guys do a lot of fun stuff down there for Model Aviation Day, kind of all through the year, don't you?
Well, we try to celebrate every day, exactly.
There you go.
All year round. But yes, we typically try to get out to our club and at least fly one plane out there just to join in the fun with our fellow clubs that are celebrating as well.
Absolutely. Well, guys, we want to thank you so much for joining us today on this episode of AMA Air. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a comment down below. Tell us what your favorite part was. Leave a like, share, subscribe, do all the fun stuff that the social media people tell you that they want you to do to help us out in the algorithms. And of course, if you're not yet a member of the Academy of Model Aeronautics, head over to modelaircraft.org/join and tell us or find out what the AMA can do for you. We hope to have you as a part of our group very, very soon. Lee, it's time to sign off. You got any final words to say?
I just hope you thaw out soon. Hope you can get all that snow off your driveways and sidewalks and get back in the air.
Me too. Well, thank you, Lee. Thank you all of you for watching, and we hope to see you on the next episode of AMA Air.